Have you ever had a period in life when it felt like every door was closing at the same time? Have you ever looked up at the ceiling late at night and silently asked why your heart hurts so much even though you were trying your best to live a decent life? Welcome back to the channel. My friend, if you are listening to this, chances are your heart has known its share of pressure and sadness. Maybe work is exhausting. Maybe family relationships are tense. Maybe your health is shaky. Your bank account is thin. And your mind feels like a crowded train station where anxious thoughts never stop arriving. Today, we are going to sit together right in the middle of that mess and talk about one simple, but very deep path that an old monk taught countless people who were just as overwhelmed as you might be now. That path is learning how to sincerely rely on Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, sometimes called Earth Store Bodhisattva, a figure of incredible compassion who vows not to rest until the hells are empty and all beings are free from suffering. The original teaching we are expanding from is a talk by an elderly monk, a master who lived through war, poverty, and hardship, and spent his whole life practicing and teaching. When people came to him filled with depression, stress, and the feeling that everything was going wrong, he did not give them complex theories. Instead, he pointed them to a very direct method, turning the heart toward Ksitigarbha with real sincerity, calling his name, studying his vows, and handing over the heavy stones you have been carrying inside. So, in this long story-style script, we will do a few things together. We will first paint the picture of what it really feels like when life is not going well, because pretending everything is fine will not help anyone. Then we will walk into the life of one fictional but very realistic person, a composite drawn from many true cases, who meets this elderly monk and slowly learns what it means to rely on Ksitigarbha from the deepest part of the heart. Along the way, we will explore what reliance actually means, how it connects with karma, destiny, and inner transformation, and why it is not about blind dependence but about awakening the strength and compassion already inside you. Finally, we will circle back to your own life, talk about how you can start this practice in a very simple way, and invite you to share your own journey. Let us first be completely honest about something. There are seasons in life when it feels like the universe is pressing down from all sides. You wake up already tired. Before you even get out of bed, your mind has started listing problems. The rent is due. Your project at work is behind schedule. Your loved one is sick. Your parents do not understand you. Your marriage feels like a silent war. Your children are distant or rebellious. You scroll through social media, and it looks like everyone else is doing better than you. Smiling in cafes, traveling, achieving goals, while you are just struggling to keep your head above water. On top of that, there might be a fog in your heart that you cannot explain logically. Even on days when nothing particularly bad happens, you feel a dull sadness, a sense that something is missing, that life is somehow off. Joy feels far away. Simple tasks feel heavy. You try to distract yourself with shows, shopping, or scrolling. But when the distraction ends, the same emptiness is waiting for you, like a patient shadow. Maybe you have tried many things already. You have read self-help books that tell you to think positive. You have gone to therapy sessions. You have watched motivational videos that tell you to hustle harder, set goals, push yourself. Maybe some of these things helped a little. But deep inside, there is still a question that nothing seems to answer. Why is my life like this? And how can I find a peace that is not shaken every time something goes wrong? This is the kind of person who often ended up in front of the old monk. They did not come as philosophers. They came as hurting humans. One of them was a man we will call Daniel. Daniel was in his 40s. From the outside, his life looked ordinary but acceptable. He had a job in a small company, a wife, and a school-aged daughter. They were not wealthy, but they were not starving. He was not dealing with any dramatic scandal. If you passed him on the street, you might not notice anything special. But if you could see inside his mind, It was like looking into a room filled with tangled wires and flickering lights. Every morning, Daniel woke up with a knot in his chest. He had been stuck in the same job for years. The company was unstable, always talking about restructuring. He was afraid of being laid off, but also too tired and unsure of himself to look for another job. His boss criticized him more than he praised him. There was always another deadline, another task, another small crisis. At home, things were not calm either. His wife was stressed by money and by taking care of their daughter and elderly mother-in-law. She often snapped at him. He snapped back. They would argue over small things like dirty dishes or electricity bills. But underneath those arguments were years of built-up resentment and disappointment. Their daughter, sensitive and observant, soaked up the tension, becoming withdrawn and easily irritated. On top of all this, Daniel had health problems. He often had headaches and stomach pain. He went to the doctor, did tests, and was told that nothing serious was wrong, that it was probably stress. He was given medicine for temporary relief, but the symptoms kept coming back. Sometimes his heart beat so fast for no clear reason that he thought he was going to die. He started to fear that he had some hidden illness. At night, when the house was quiet, he would lie in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about all the ways his life had not turned out the way he had hoped. When he was younger, he had dreams of doing meaningful work, of being a patient and loving husband, of being a wise father. Now he felt like he had failed on every front. He was not doing work he loved. He had shouted at his wife and daughter more times than he could count. He felt like a burden more than a blessing. There were moments he wanted to run away from everything. There were darker moments when he wondered whether the world would be better without him. But he did not have the courage to actually act on those thoughts. So he just kept going, dragging himself through each day like someone carrying a heavy backpack filled with stone. One afternoon, after a particularly miserable week where everything seemed to go wrong at once, a colleague noticed how pale and worn out he looked. She said quietly, "During a break, you look really tired. Are you okay?" He forced a smile. "Just busy. You know how it is." She hesitated, then said, "I have been going to a small temple on weekends recently. There is an old monk there who talks about dealing with stress and suffering. It is not about running away from problems, but about changing how you hold them inside. It helped me a bit. If you have time, maybe you could visit." Daniel was not a particularly religious person. He had grown up with some cultural knowledge of Buddhist figures, like Guanyin and Ksitigarbha, but he had never really paid attention. Still, at that point he felt so stuck that he thought, "What do I have to lose?" So that Sunday, instead of sleeping in and then wasting time on his phone, he took a bus to the address she had written down. The temple was small, hidden in a narrow alley behind several old houses. It did not look impressive. The walls were a bit faded, the gate simple. There were no grand statues in the courtyard, just a few potted plants and a wooden bench. But as he walked in, he felt a subtle shift in the air. The noise of the street seemed to stay outside. Inside, there was a gentler kind of silence, not empty but somehow full. He followed the sound of slow chanting to the main hall. Inside, there was a statue of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva sitting calmly on a lion, holding a staff and a wish-fulfilling jewel. The face was not fierce, but deeply compassionate, like someone who had seen all the suffering of the world and chosen not to turn away. A few people were kneeling and chanting, softly. The words of the chant flowed in waves, sometimes clear, sometimes like a murmur, but carrying a sense of steady rhythm. At the side of the hall, on a simple chair, sat the old monk. He was very thin, his robe loose on his frame, like a coat hung on a narrow hanger. His face was full of wrinkles, but his eyes were bright. There was a softness in his expression that made people want to talk to him. After the chanting, some people approached him to ask questions. Daniel, feeling shy, stayed at the back. He did not know what to say. What would he even ask? How do you summarize years of pressure into a single sentence? The monk noticed him standing there. He waved him over with a small gesture, as if inviting an old friend to sit down. Daniel came closer and bowed awkwardly. The monk looked at him kindly and asked, "You are new here?" "Yes," Daniel said. "I am just looking around." The monk nodded. "Most people who come here are not just looking around. They are carrying something heavy. Your face looks like someone who has been carrying a stone in his heart for a long time." The words landed so directly that Daniel felt his eyes sting. To his surprise, tears started to gather. He had not come intending to cry in front of a stranger, especially an old monk, but something about the way that sentence was spoken made his defenses crack. He sat down and, slowly at first, then more and more freely, began to talk. He spoke about his job, his fears about money, his arguments at home, his health, his late-night thoughts. He did not try to sound wise or strong. He just let the words spill out. The monk listened without interrupting, except to occasionally ask a short clarifying question. When Daniel finished, he felt strangely empty, like someone who had finally put down the backpack for a moment. The monk was quiet for a bit. Then he said, "In this world, many people are suffering exactly as you are, feeling like life is a burden and their hearts cannot bear it. The pressure of work, the heaviness of family responsibilities, the fear of illness, the constant comparison with others. All of this is real. We cannot pretend it is not." He looked up at the statue of Ksitigarbha and continued, "But, in the deepest sense, human suffering is not just about outer circumstances. It is also the fruit of karma ripening, the result of many causes from this life and past lives, meeting present conditions. When many heavy karmic seeds ripen close together, a person can feel like everything is going wrong at once." Daniel asked, "So are you saying that all this is my fault? That I must have done bad things before?" The monk shook his head slowly. "Fault is not the right word. We are not talking about blame, but about cause and effect. Everyone, including you and me, has done harmful things in the past, out of ignorance, greed, and anger. Some of those seeds ripen as difficulties in this life. Some seeds of kindness ripen as blessings. Your life right now is a mixture of both. But the important thing is this: even when heavy karma ripen, you are not powerless. You can decide how you respond. You can choose to deepen suffering by reacting with hatred and despair, or you can use suffering as fuel to turn toward the path of awakening." Daniel stared at the statue. "I do not know how to do that. I only know how to worry and complain." The monk smiled gently. "That is why many teachers over the centuries have told people in times of great difficulty to sincerely rely on Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. It is not an escape. It is a way to transform the way you hold your suffering. When your own strength feels too small, you open your heart to a great compassion that is larger than your fear." Daniel frowned slightly. "But how do you rely on someone you cannot see?" The monk pointed slowly to his own chest. "You begin here. You speak from the deepest part of your heart, not with fancy words, but with honesty. You confess your confusion, your mistakes, your fears. You ask for guidance and support in facing your karma, not in avoiding it. You call his name with trust, again and again, until the rhythm of that calling begins to calm the waves in your mind. Step by step, as you keep this connection, you will find that your heart gains a new kind of strength and clarity. Problems may not disappear overnight, but you will not be crushed by them in the same way." Then the monk leaned forward slightly and lowered his voice, as if sharing a secret. "Most people who are stressed and unhappy have a mind that is always running outward, chasing after thoughts, arguments, worries. Their attention never rests. Relying on Ksitigarbha is like giving the mind a safe anchor. Instead of endlessly replaying problems, you repeatedly return to his name, his image, his vow to rescue beings from suffering. Little by little, the fire of anxiety cools. In that cooler space, you can see more clearly what to do and what not to do. He suggested a simple practice. From today, every morning before work, and every night before bed, find a quiet corner. Sit or kneel. If you have an image of Ksitigarbha, you can place it there. If not, you can simply imagine his presence. A calm, compassionate figure holding a staff and a jewel that lights up the darkness. Then speak honestly, as if to a trusted friend or a wise parent. Tell him your situation in your own words. After that, commit to chanting his name for a set number of times. Even 100 times to start is fine. As long as you are present, do it every day, without skipping. Do not worry about whether you feel something special. Just keep going. He also encouraged reading or listening to the stories of Ksitigarbha's vows, the tales of how he saves beings from suffering in hellish conditions, both inner and outer. When you fill your mind with these stories, the monk said, you gradually replace stories of failure and hopelessness with stories of compassion, courage, and unwavering resolve. You begin to remember that you are not alone in the universe. There is a great field of kindness supporting you. Daniel listened, half skeptical, half hopeful. He thought, I have tried so many things. Maybe this will just be another temporary comfort. But there was something about the monk's eyes that he could not ignore. A depth that did not come from theory. He asked, did you ever go through something like this yourself? The old monk nodded slowly. When I was younger, I lived through war and chaos. I saw people die suddenly, families torn apart, homes destroyed. There were times when I did not know whether I would be alive the next day. There were times when I felt that the world was nothing but suffering. It was during those times that I turned to Ksitigarbha with all the desperation and sincerity of someone clinging to a single plank in a stormy sea. I did not ask him to magically change everything. I asked him to help me endure, to help me not lose my compassion, to help me not sink into hatred and despair. Step by step, I survived and continued to practice. Without that reliance, I might have gone mad. The room fell quiet. Daniel realized that this was not some easy slogan being offered to him. This was advice forged through real hardship. So he decided to try. That night, after he returned home, his wife was in a bad mood. The electricity bill had arrived, higher than expected. She grumbled about his income, about the cost of groceries, about the child's school fees. Normally, he would have snapped back. Instead, he felt tired all the way to his bone. He did not argue. After helping with chores, he went to the small balcony of their apartment, which looked out over a maze of other buildings. He did not have an altar or a statue, so he sat on a worn stool, looked up at the dim sky, and whispered awkwardly, Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. If you are there, I do not really know how to talk to you. I am not a very good person. I have been angry, lazy, selfish, and full of complaints. But I am really tired. I do not want to hurt my family with my frustration. I do not want to drown in this pressure. The monk said I should rely on you. So I am here, trying. Please help me have a clearer mind and a softer heart. Please help me carry this burden. Then he began to chant the name quietly, counting on his fingers. At first, his thoughts wandered constantly. He kept thinking about work, about his boss's face, about unpaid bills. Whenever he realized he had drifted, he pulled his attention back to the simple sound of the name. It felt clumsy, like learning to walk again. After he finished 100 recitations, he did not feel some dramatic change. There was no vision, no sudden explosion of light. But he did notice that his breathing was a little slower. The knot in his chest was slightly less tight. He went to bed and slept a bit more deeply than usual. The next morning, his old patterns returned. Emails, phone calls, traffic, the rush to work. But now he had a small new habit in his day. Before leaving the house, he took 5 minutes to sit on the same stool and repeat what he had done the night before. Sometimes he told Ksitigarbha about his plans for the day. Sometimes he simply said, "I do not know what is coming today, but please help me not to drown in my reactions. Please help me remember you in the middle of whatever happens." Days turned into weeks. Some days he felt a small sense of peace while chanting. Some days he felt nothing but restlessness. There were evenings when he was so tired he almost skipped the practice. But then he remembered the monk's words about continuity and forced himself to at least chant a few dozen times. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, several changes began to show themselves. First, his temper softened. It was not that he never got angry. He still felt irritation and frustration. But the fuse was a little longer. Where before he would explode at the slightest provocation, now there was often a tiny gap between feeling and reaction. In that gap, he remembered the rhythm of his chanting, the calm face of Ksitigarbha, the old monk's gentle eyes. Sometimes that was enough to stop him from saying something he would regret. Second, his sense of isolation reduced. He felt like a small, powerless person crushed under a mountain of problems. Now, in those moments of chanting, he felt that he was not entirely alone. He could not explain it logically, but there was a feeling that someone understood his pain completely and was silently supporting him. This gave him the courage to face difficulties that previously made him want to run away. Third, his perspective on suffering shifted. He began to see that some of his stress came not only from external pressures, but from his own endless chains of thought. He noticed how his mind would take one unpleasant event and build many terrible stories around it. With practice, when those stories started forming, he would sometimes interrupt them by turning his attention inward and calling on Ksitigarbha. It was as if he had discovered an internal emergency brake. Over time, he also began reading about Ksitigarbha's great vows, about how this Bodhisattva chose to stay in the darkest realms to help beings who were most trapped in pain and ignorance. He read stories of people on the edge of collapse who found stability through this practice. These stories inspired him. He thought, if someone would willingly enter hell out of compassion, then surely he will not ignore my small little life. One evening, a real test came. His company announced that due to restructuring, several positions would be cut. His department was affected. A list of names was posted on a board in the office. People gathered around it, anxious. When Daniel squeezed through the crowd to look, his stomach dropped. His name was on the list. In the past, this would have been his nightmare. Losing his job had always been his greatest fear. Now it was real. His friends looked at him with pity. Some whispered, "I am so sorry." Others were too shocked about their own situations to say anything. For a moment, his mind began to spiral. How will I pay the rent? What about my daughter's tuition? My wife will explode. I am already in my 40s. Who will hire me? He felt the familiar panic rising, the urge to blame the company, blame the economy, blame himself. He went to the bathroom, locked himself in a stall, and sat down, his head in his hands. His heart was pounding. Thoughts flashed through his mind like lightning. Then, without thinking too much, he closed his eyes and began to chant silently, the same name he had been chanting every day for weeks. At first, the words were blurred by his fear, but he kept going. Gradually, the rhythm steadied. His breathing slowed a bit. He remembered the old monk's teaching about karma and condition. He thought, maybe this is the ripening of past karma. Maybe losing this job is not only a disaster, but also an opening. I do not know yet, but if I collapse now, I will only make things worse. Ksitigarbha. Please help me face this without hatred. Please help me not to sink into despair. After some time, he felt grounded enough to stand up and wash his face. The outer situation had not changed at all. He was still losing his job. But inside, something subtle had shifted. He was no longer a man being dragged helplessly by events. He was a practitioner in the middle of a test, accompanied by a silent guide. Later that day, when he went home and told his wife the news, she did indeed react strongly. She cried, shouted, blamed him for not having looked for other opportunities earlier. The argument was intense, but in the middle of it, Daniel remembered to keep a small part of his attention on the presence of Ksitigarbha, as if holding a warm stone in his pocket. He did not shout as loudly as he might have before. He listened to his wife's fear inside her anger. When she paused for breath, he said, I know you are scared. I am scared too. But I have been going to a temple, and I have been learning that when big changes come, they may carry something we cannot see yet. I do not want to spend all our energy attacking each other. Let us calm down first. I will do everything I can to find another way to support our family, and I will keep praying for guidance. In the past, these words might have sounded fake even to himself. Now, somehow, they felt real. His wife, though still upset, noticed the difference in his tone. He seemed less like a cornered animal and more like someone holding a candle in a dark room. Over the next few days, their conversations, while still tense, became more open. She slowly became curious about the temple that had influenced him. The following weeks were challenging. Searching for a new job at his age, with his background, was not easy. He faced rejection after rejection. Some nights he came home exhausted and full of doubt. Each time, before he let himself drown in self-criticism, he would go to the balcony, sit on the stool, and speak to Ksitigarbha again. He would say, today I went to 3 interviews. One interviewer looked down on me. Another gave me hope and then rejected me. I am tired. But I remember your vow to stay with beings in their suffering. Please stay with me tonight. Help me not to think that my worth as a human being depends only on my job title. Help me see clearly which direction I should go. He continued chanting. One night, after chanting for a long time, he did not have any big spiritual vision, but he did have a simple, practical idea pop into his mind. Years ago, he had helped a friend with some accounting tasks, and that friend had mentioned that if he ever wanted to learn more in that direction, there were small courses he could take. Daniel had dismissed it back then. Now, the memory resurfaced. He decided to call that friend the next day. This call led to another. Within a month, through a chain of conversation, he found a short training program, affordable and flexible. He enrolled, partly using the compensation from his previous job. It was not easy to study again at his age, but he found that his mind, steadied by daily chanting and reflection, was more focused than before. He also noticed that the panic inside had reduced. He still worried about money, but he no longer felt like a man abandoned by the universe. Eventually, after several months of training and searching, he found a new job in a small firm doing accounting work. The pay was not luxurious, but it was stable, and he had opportunities to grow. His new boss, though strict, was fair and did not humiliate him. His wife, seeing the concrete change, began to relax. Their arguments lessened. Their daughter seemed lighter. The pressure in his body eased, and many of his physical symptoms became less frequent. Looking back, Daniel did not say, Ksitigarbha magically gave me a new job. He saw that he had still needed to send applications, go to interviews, learn new skills, but he also saw clearly that without that anchor of reliance, he might have been crushed by fear and never taken those steps. He might have sunk into depression or turned to harmful habits. The inner support made all the difference. More importantly, his understanding of happiness changed. Before, he thought happiness would come from finally having an easy life, with no big problem. Now he understood that a human life will always contain difficulties, but there can be a deep peace in the way you stand in the middle of them. That peace comes not from numbness, but from a sense that you are walking hand in hand with a vast compassion that has promised never to abandon suffering beings. The old monk explained it this way in one of his talks. When you sincerely rely on Ksitigarbha, you are not handing him a shopping list of wishes to fulfill. You are putting your heart into his care. You are saying, I am willing to accept that some of my suffering is due to past causes, and I am ready to face it. But I ask for your help to carry it with wisdom and courage. In response, Ksitigarbha does not always change your outer situation immediately. Often, he changes your inner posture first. He helps you stand up inside. He helps you see that no pain is wasted if it awakens compassion in you. Over the years, many people came to that small temple with stories similar to Daniel's. Some were crushed by debt, some by grief, some by illness, some by family conflict. The monk did not tell them that chanting a name would make all their problems vanish. He told them that chanting, combined with honest self-reflection, ethical living, and the willingness to accept karma, would gradually transform the quality of their minds. He told them that when their minds changed, their destinies would also shift, sometimes in visible ways, sometimes in ways only their hearts could feel. In all of this, he emphasized sincerity. If you rely on Ksitigarbha only with your mouth, while your heart is full of disbelief and laziness, you will feel very little. But if you really put down your pride and speak to him as someone who knows that he needs help, then the connection becomes very alive. It is like the difference between casually dialing a number and truly talking to a dear friend. So what does all of this mean for you? Sitting wherever you are, listening to this long story. Maybe your life right now feels squeezed. Maybe you are sad more often than you admit. Maybe you feel like you are always one step behind, never catching up, never quite good enough. Maybe your nights are filled with restless thoughts, and your days with forced smiles. You might be wondering whether relying on a bodhisattva you cannot see will really help. You might fear that you are not devout enough, not pure enough, not disciplined enough. But if there is one message we can draw from the old monk's teaching, it is this: you do not have to be perfect to start. You just have to be honest. You can begin in the simplest possible way. You do not need grand rituals. You do not need to know complicated chants. You can just sit down, even at the edge of your bed, close your eyes, and say quietly in your own words, Ksitigarbha bodhisattva. My life is not easy right now. I am often unhappy. I have many worries. I have made many mistakes. I do not know how to fix everything, but I want to walk a path of less harm and more wisdom. Please help me. Please guide me. Please be with me as I face my karma. Then, choose an aim of Ksitigarbha that you are comfortable with, and repeat it gently, coordinating with your breath. If your mind wanders, bring it back without scolding yourself. Do this every day, even for a few minutes. Over time, if you want, you can increase the number of recitation. Read about his vows, listen to talks about his teachings, or visit a temple where his image is present. But the core remains the same: sincere turning of the heart, again and again. As you do this, do not expect fireworks. Expect subtle shifts. Perhaps one day you will notice that you are less reactive to criticism. Perhaps you will find a surprising solution to a problem that seemed hopeless. Perhaps you will feel that, even in sadness, there is a gentle warmth at the center of your chest, like a small lamp that does not go out. If tears come during your practice, let them fall. Tears can be a form of cleaning. You might be releasing years of swallowed grief. You might be dissolving layers of hard armor around your heart. Ksitigarbha is sometimes described as the one who enters the darkest places to comfort beings. Your personal darkness, your most hidden pain, is not too ugly or too trivial for him. He does not judge you for being weak. He simply stays with you, encouraging you to stand up again and again. From a larger perspective, This path is not only about feeling better. It is about waking up to the reality of cause and effect, about understanding that your thoughts, words, and actions today will shape your tomorrow. Relying on Ksitigarbha does not mean handing all responsibility over to him. It means asking for his strength to help you take responsibility wisely. It means deciding, for example, that even when you are under pressure, you will not lie or harm others to escape it, because you know that would only plant new seeds of suffering. In that sense, reliance becomes a partnership. You bring your small sincerity, your willingness to change, your effort to live more ethically. He brings an ocean of compassion, a vast vow that has no end. Together, step by step, the heavy clouds in your life begin to thin. The sun does not always shine brightly, but you notice more patches of blue sky. Let me share something like a quiet reflection, as if we are two people sitting on a bench, watching the world go by. There are many ways modern culture suggests to handle unhappiness and pressure. Some are useful, like talking to a therapist, exercising, getting enough sleep, learning time management. These are important. We should not ignore them. But there is a type of suffering that goes deeper than schedules and hormones. A kind of existential heaviness. A question about meaning and justice and why life is the way it is. For that kind of suffering, we also need spiritual medicine. Ksitigarbha's path is one such medicine. It is especially powerful for people who feel like their lives are a series of misfortune, who feel guilty, who have done things they regret, or who feel trapped in patterns they cannot break. The image of a bodhisattva who goes willingly into hellish realms, refusing to leave anyone behind, can be a profound comfort. It tells you that even in your worst mistakes, there is still a way forward. Even in your darkest emotion, there is still a hand reaching out. You might doubt this. That is okay. Doubt is natural. But doubt does not have to stop you from experimenting. You can treat this practice like a long-term experiment in your own mind and heart. For a few months, keep up a simple daily routine of calling on Ksitigarbha, confessing your worries, and asking for guidance. Watch what happens inside you. Notice whether your reactions change, whether your perspective shifts, whether unexpected help appears in your life. If nothing changes at all, you have lost nothing but a few minutes a day of old patterns. If something changes, you may have found a quiet treasure. Now, as we move toward the close of this long sharing, I want to invite you to bring the focus back completely to yourself. Think of the heaviest thing on your heart right now. It might be a person who is suffering. It might be your own feeling of failure. It might be a secret habit you are ashamed of. It might be an illness. It might be a family conflict that never seems to heal. Take a moment, even as you listen, to imagine placing that heavy thing at the feet of Ksitigarbha, not throwing it away, not pretending it does not exist, but gently setting it down in front of someone who is not frightened by pain. Imagine saying, "This is too heavy for me to carry alone. Please help me hold it. Please show me, step by step, what I need to see and do." You may find that just this inner gesture, repeated day after day, begins to soften something inside you. You may still need to take difficult actions in the outer world. You may still need to apologize, to look for work, to go to the doctor, to set boundaries. But you will not be doing it as a completely lonely, exhausted person. You will be doing it as someone who walks under the gaze of a great compassion. If you feel comfortable, I encourage you to share in the comments what you are going through and whether you have ever tried relying on a spiritual figure like Ksitigarbha. Have you felt any change from chanting, praying, or meditating? Have you had moments when an old teaching suddenly made sense because of what you were living through? Your stories can be an important support for others who may be feeling hopeless and alone right now. If this long, gentle conversation has brought you even a small sense of comfort or clarity, I warmly invite you to stay connected with this channel. We often explore questions of suffering, karma, compassion, destiny, and practice, not with the aim of giving quick fixes, but to walk together in a more awakened kind way. You can subscribe so you will be notified when new videos come out. And you can like this video so that the platform is more likely to show it to people who might need it. If you feel that this kind of content is valuable in a world that is often noisy and harsh, and you would like to support its continuation, you can consider joining as a member. Your support helps keep this space available as a quiet corner on the internet where heavy hearts can come to rest for a while, to reflect, and to remember that they are not alone. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. May Ksitigarbha as great Vaujende reach you wherever you are. May your pressure become wisdom, your sadness become compassion, and your confusion become a doorway to deeper understanding. May you find the courage to keep walking, one step at a time, knowing that in every step, a vast compassion is walking with you.
There are moments when you see something, and your heart simply whispers, "This one is meant for me." Bracelet carries more than beads. It carries intention, protection, and quiet strength. Something to guide your thoughts and keep your spirit steady. If you felt that gentle pull toward any of the bracelets shown, the purchase link is waiting in the description, and the full collection is displayed on our channel store. Follow your intuition. It rarely leads you wrong.